They said it was an open and shut case. A man had been found shot dead in his home, and all signs pointed to his wife. What made things even more suspicious was that she had vanished without a trace after the police received the call. Then they found the gun. It had his fingerprints on it, but there was one problem. He was left-handed, and the fingerprints were on the handle. How did he shoot himself with a gun he held in his left hand? Let us look at the strange case of a man who shot himself with a gun in his right hand. It was April 23, 1984, when Raymond Moody called the police, told them that someone had broken into his house, shot his friend, and stolen some jewelry from his wife's jewelry box. But when the police arrived, they soon realized that something was off. Moody claimed that his friend Victor Cook had come over for dinner, and they were drinking and watching TV. He claimed that he went to the bathroom, and when he came out, he heard a gunshot and saw the victim lying on the floor. According to Moody, he tried to resuscitate his friend while calling for help, but it was no use. By the time the ambulance arrived, the victim was already dead. Moody lived in a small town in Tennessee called Paris. It was a quiet place. In fact, the last murder in the town was 20 years prior to this incident. The only other crime they had to deal with was the occasional burglary or drunk driving. As far as everyone knew, Victor Cook was just passing through town. He was on his way to Atlanta to visit his sister, and he decided to stop by his friend Hess' house. That is what Moody told the police anyway, and so far it all seemed logical. But then the police noticed something. There were no signs of forced entry, and nothing appeared to be stolen. His TV was still there. His stereo was there. Nothing seemed to be disturbed, except for the body lying on the floor. If it was a robbery gone wrong, why did the burglar only steal the jewelry? Why leave the rest of the house alone? Moody also didn't seem to care about the fact that his friend was dead. He was acting very strangely. First, he claimed that he tried to save Cook's life, but according to the autopsy, Cook was already dead before Moody called the police. He must have known that his friend was already dead when he reported the crime. As if things weren't strange enough, Moody told the police that his wife wasn't home at the time of the shooting. But when they searched the house, they found her purse and some clothing that suggested that she was indeed home during the incident. Was Moody hiding something? Was he involved in his friend's death? The next piece of evidence that would point to Moody being guilty was the gun itself. After searching the house, the police were unable to find the weapon used in the crime. It wasn't until Moody volunteered to let them search his car that they found it. They discovered the gun stuffed under the floor mat on the passenger side. The only problem was, as we mentioned earlier, Moody was left-handed, but the fingerprints on the gun were on the right side of the handle. This could mean only two things. Either Moody was lying about being left-handed, or he was right-handed, but he held the gun in his left hand when he shot himself. But how can a person shoot themselves with a gun in their non-dominant hand? It might be easy for someone who is ambidextrous to do so, but what about someone who is clearly left-handed? When the police asked Moody about the gun, he said that he was holding it in his left hand when he called the police. This didn't make sense. To be able to shoot a gun, you need to hold it steady and pull the trigger firmly. You also need to be able to see the target through the sights. But it's extremely difficult to do so with your non-dominant hand. Most people wouldn't be able to even aim the gun, let alone fire it. Now, Moody was a hunter and a marksman. He belonged to a rifle club and had even won first place in a local competition, so he knew his way around a gun. Did he manage to shoot himself accidentally while trying to hold the gun steady with his left hand? Maybe, but there were no gunpowder burns on his fingers, which meant that he wasn't holding the gun too close to him. And the bullet wound on the victim was a clean entrance wound. It looked like he had been shot at close range, but not while Moody was cradling the gun with his left hand. There was also the fact that the victim was lying face up, which was odd. If he had been lying on his stomach, it would have made sense for Moody to hold the gun in his left hand and shoot him in the back of the head. But the position of the body made no sense whatsoever. The police suspected that Moody was hiding something, but he stuck to his story. He said that he was left-handed and that he had been holding the gun in his left hand. He said that he pulled the trigger accidentally while trying to show Cook the gun. He claims that he couldn't see his friend's face because he was covering his eyes with both hands while aiming the gun. To prove that he was left-handed, he even offered to take a polygraph test. But the police weren't convinced. They knew that the fingerprints on the gun were real, and they matched Moody's right hand, not his left. So was Moody telling the truth? Could he really shoot himself with a gun held in his left hand? Well, we should mention that there is such thing as cross-dominance. Some people are left-handed, but their non-dominant hand might be their right hand when it comes to other tasks. For example, someone might be left-handed but have a dominant right eye. And as we know, when it comes to shooting a gun, having a steady aim is just as important as having a steady grip. But does that explain how Moody shot himself? When firing a gun, you need to be able to hold it steady and pull the trigger firmly. You also need to be able to see the target through the sights. But it's extremely difficult to do so with your non-dominant hand. Most people wouldn't be able to even aim the gun, let alone fire it. We have seen those videos of people who try to shoot with their non-dominant hand. The bullets usually end up going everywhere except where they were supposed to. So could Moody have done it? It's possible. He was a hunter and probably more capable than most people. But there were several inconsistencies in his story. Why was the victim's body positioned like that? Why was the gun hidden under the floor mat of Moody's car? Why didn't Moody immediately report the crime instead of waiting almost an hour? In the end, Moody would stick to his story, said that he was left-handed, and insisted that he shot himself accidentally while trying to show off the gun. But the police weren't buying it. They arrested him and charged him with second-degree murder. At his trial, Moody would claim that he was innocent and that he was being framed. Damned, he said that he didn't want to hurt anyone and that he loved his friend. But the jury didn't believe him and he was convicted. He was sentenced to 15 years in prison. Did Moody kill his friend accidentally? Certainly possible. But it seems unlikely that he would risk angering a good friend just to impress him with a gun. There were too many inconsistencies in his story. Plus, the fingerprints on the gun were a pretty solid piece of evidence. They proved that Moody had handled the weapon. And although he was left-handed, that didn't mean that he couldn't shoot himself with his right hand. Maybe he was just a better shot than most people. Or maybe he was trying to cover up his crime. What do you think? We'd love to hear your opinion. Leave a comment below and let us know what you think happened. Also, please like and share this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you haven't yet. We have a lot more great videos coming up, so don't miss out.